There is something I must tell you, a secret so profound yet so simple, that when you truly understand it, your entire world will transform before your eyes. This is not mere theory or wishful thinking. This is the fundamental law of creation itself. Listen carefully, for what I am about to share with you has changed the lives of thousands who have applied it. Yet so many continue to search in vain, looking everywhere except the one place where all power resides. You have been told that manifestation requires struggle, that to achieve your desires you must plan, strive, and force your way through life. But I tell you now, with absolute certainty, that this approach is the very reason your desires have remained beyond your reach. The world sleeps locked in a dream, where effects are mistaken for causes. People exhaust themselves climbing mountains that exist only in their imagination, never realizing that they themselves placed those mountains there. You too have been climbing, haven't you? Struggling against circumstances that seem to exist outside yourself, hoping that somehow with enough effort, enough positive thinking, enough affirmations, your life will change. But it never quite happens as you imagined, does it? This is because you have been taught to seek what you already possess. You have been searching for a power that already lies dormant within you, waiting to be awakened not through effort, but through a shift in how you feel. Yes, feeling is the secret. Not the fleeting emotions that come and go like clouds across the sky, but a deeper state of being that precedes all external evidence. But how? You might ask. How can merely feeling something make it real? Consider this. Have you ever had a dream so vivid that upon waking your heart still pounded, your body still responded as though the events were real? In that moment, your physical senses could not distinguish between imagination and reality. This is because to the deeper mind, there is no difference. What you impress upon your subconscious through the power of feeling becomes the blueprint from which your reality is shaped. Every desire already exists in what I call the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination. It exists now complete and perfect. Your task is not to create it, but to claim it through the most powerful force in human experience, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Think for a moment of something you deeply desire. Perhaps it's financial abundance, vibrant health, a loving relationship, or recognition for your talents. Whatever it may be, it exists now as a complete reality in the realm of infinite possibilities. The bridge between that reality and your current experience is not action, but feeling. When you attempt to manifest through sheer force of will, you are actually affirming the absence of your desire. You are saying, I must work for this because I do not have it. And the law of consciousness, which shapes all experience, faithfully delivers more of this lack. I have tested this law countless times, both in my own life and in the lives of those who have applied these teachings. The results are always the same. When you learn to generate and sustain the feeling of your wish fulfilled, external reality reshapes itself to match this inner state. This is not positive thinking. This is not visualization. This is not affirmation. Those practices can be useful stepping stones, but they all fall short unless they culminate in the actual feeling of possessing what you desire. The ancient wisdom tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Note carefully, not as he thinks in his mind, but as he feels in his heart. Intellectual understanding alone cannot create. It must be married to feeling, to emotional conviction. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances, allowing external conditions to determine their inner state. They feel joyful when events please them and despondent when events disappoint them. They have the equation precisely backward. It is the inner state that shapes the outer event, not the reverse. When you truly grasp this principle, you will never again be a victim of circumstance. You will know beyond all doubt that consciousness is the only reality, and that the world around you is simply consciousness objectified. Close your eyes for a moment. Allow yourself to sink deeply into the feeling of what it would be like if your desire were already fulfilled. Not as a future possibility, but as a present fact. How would you feel right now if you were the person you long to be? What sensations would move through your body? What thoughts would naturally arise? how would you perceive the world around you? This state, this feeling is your point of power. Sustain it, and you activate a law as certain as gravity. For consciousness is the only reality, and the state you occupy now must objectify itself in your experience. I tell you this with absolute conviction, because I have applied this law and witnessed its perfect operation. I have seen lives transformed, not through years of struggle, but through the practiced ability to feel the reality of the wish fulfilled. The world may tell you that your dreams are impossible, that there are limits to what you can be, do, and have. But I say to you now that the only limits in your life are those that exist in your imagination and are given life through your feeling. Tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, I invite you to embark on the greatest adventure possible in human experience, the conscious creation of your reality through the power of feeling. For in those quiet moments between wakefulness and sleep, your subconscious mind is most receptive to impression. What you feel as true in these precious moments becomes the seed from which your tomorrow will grow, not as a distant hope, but as the natural unfoldment of the state you've occupied. Let me ask you something that penetrates to the very core of your being. What would it feel like if you already were the person you long to be? What would it feel like if everything you desire were already yours? This feeling, this state of consciousness, is the key you have been seeking. And in the time we share together, I will teach you how to generate and sustain this feeling with such power that the world around you will have no choice but to reorganize itself to match your inner conviction. For this is the law, and the law is always in operation, whether you're aware of it or not. The question is not whether it works, but whether you will work with it consciously to create the life you truly desire. The choice is yours. Will you continue to struggle against what appears to be, or will you learn to feel the reality of what could be until it becomes what is? The power is within you. It always has been. And now I will teach you how to use it. The revelation I am about to share may challenge everything you've been taught about how life works since childhood. You've been conditioned to believe that your circumstances determine your feelings, that external events create your internal state, that you must first have what you want in order to feel how you want to feel. This is the great illusion that keeps humanity enslaved to circumstance. The truth, the principle that has transformed countless lives, is precisely the opposite. Your feeling creates your reality, not the other way around. Your feeling is not just a reaction to life. It is the very substance from which life is molded. Consider something that happened to you recently that caused you joy. You might say, I felt happy because I received good news. But I tell you now that the sequence is reversed. The state of consciousness you occupied attracted that good news into your experience. Your outer world always corresponds to your inner world, without exception. This principle has been operating in your life, whether you've been aware of it or not. Every circumstance you now face is the result of a state you previously occupied. Every relationship, every dollar in your bank account, every sensation in your body is consciousness made visible. Now, how do you apply this knowledge to consciously create the life you desire? The framework is simple, though its mastery will transform your entire existence. First, you must clarify exactly what you want. Not in vague terms, but with precision. If it's financial abundance, define the exact amount. If it's a relationship, identify the specific qualities it embodies. Clarity is essential, because you cannot feel the reality of something that remains nebulous in your mind. Once you've defined your desire, you must construct what I call a scene that implies its fulfillment. This scene is a short mental movie that, if experienced in physical reality, would convince you that your desire has been realized. For example, if your desire is financial freedom, your scene might be as simple as seeing your bank statement with a specific balance, or hearing a friend congratulate you on your prosperity. If your desire is perfect health, your scene might be engaging in an activity that would be impossible in your current condition. The scene itself is not what creates your reality. It is merely a tool to evoke the feeling of your wish fulfilled. The feeling is everything. Now we come to the most crucial aspect of this practice. As you mentally rehearse your scene, You must generate the genuine feeling of already having what you desire. Not hoping, not wishing, not affirming, but feeling the reality of possession. How do you generate this feeling? By completely surrendering to the seeing you've created, by temporarily setting aside your awareness of what is, and giving yourself fully to what could be, by allowing the seeing to evoke in you the emotions, sensations, and inner knowing that would naturally arise if your desire were already fulfilled. This is not pretending. This is not self-deception. This is consciously aligning yourself with a reality that already exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Remember, your desire already exists in its completed state, in the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination. You are not creating it. You are claiming it through the power of feeling. Many attempt this practice, but fail because they approach it intellectually rather than experientially. They visualize their desire but maintain an emotional distance from it. They observe the scene as spectators rather than experiencing it as participants. The result is that they impress upon their subconscious not the reality of fulfillment, but the reality of lack. Your subconscious does not respond to words or images alone. It responds to feeling. What you feel as true, it accepts as instruction and proceeds to manifest in your experience. It makes no judgments about what you can or cannot have. It simply executes the feeling pattern you impress upon it. Another common obstacle is the tendency to seek evidence of change immediately after practicing this technique. The moment you look for proof, you return to the state of not having, and that becomes your dominant feeling. Remember, what you feel as true now is what manifests regardless of your momentary practice. The key is to sustain the feeling of fulfillment not just during your formal practice, but as you move through your day. When doubts arise, and they will gently return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, do not fight against negative thoughts. Simply replace them by occupying a different state. The most potent time for this practice is the period just before sleep. As your body relaxes and your conscious mind begins to drift, your subconscious becomes exceptionally receptive to impression. In this drowsy state, mentally review your scene and allow yourself to feel its reality. Fall asleep in this feeling, and you invite powerful subconscious processes to reconstruct your reality while you rest. This nighttime practice is particularly effective because it bypasses the analytical mind that might otherwise reject your new concept of self. While you sleep, the feeling you have impressed continues to germinate, growing stronger and more persuasive with each repetition. But what happens when you wake to a reality that seems unchanged? This is where faith becomes essential, not blind faith in an external power, but reasoned faith in the law that governs all manifestation. Your physical senses show you only a time lag between the impression of a feeling and its objectification in your world. The bridge between your current circumstances and your desired reality is crossed, not by force, but by assumption, by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, despite all evidence to the contrary. You set in motion the exact forces needed to transform that assumption into physical fact. This is not wishful thinking. It is the practical application of a psychological law. When you change your concept of self, when you feel yourself to be the person who already has what you desire, you alter the pattern from which your reality is projected. Think of it like this. Your consciousness is like a projector, and your world is the screen. The image you see depends entirely on the film running through the projector. Change the film, change your dominant feeling state, and the image must change accordingly. Remember also that time is not a factor in this process. Some desires manifest instantly, while others require what appears to be a gestation period. But this period is not about waiting for your desire to manifest. It's about maintaining the feeling of fulfillment regardless of what your senses report. The law itself operates with mathematical precision. The variable is your ability to sustain the feeling of your wish fulfilled in the face of contradictory evidence. A helpful practice during this period is to mentally revise any events that seem to contradict your new self-concept. If someone treats you according to your old self-concept, mentally revise the encounter to align with your new state. See them congratulating you. acknowledging the very qualities or achievements that represent your fulfilled desire. This revision is not mere fantasy. It is the conscious redirection of the creative energy of your mind. What you revise with feeling becomes impressed upon your subconscious, which knows no difference between an imagined event and a physical one. As you master this practice, you will discover that manifestation is not about forcing the world to conform to your wishes. It is about aligning your feeling state with the version of reality you prefer to experience. The outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner state. This is not magic or mysticism. It is the practical operation of consciousness as it projects itself into experience. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, choose the state you would occupy if your desire were already fulfilled. Feel the reality of it with every fiber of your being. Fall asleep in this state, and know that as you rest, powerful forces are at work, transforming your assumption into fact. For the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret. The secret I now entrust to you. Now that you understand the power of feeling and how to apply it, I must reveal to you the deeper significance of this practice. What I have shared with you is not merely a technique for manifestation. It is nothing less than the very process through which all creation occurs. In the beginning was the Word. But the Word is not language, it is feeling. It is the feeling tone of being that precedes all expression. When Scripture tells us that God created man in his image, it refers not to physical form but to creative capacity. You are endowed with the same creative power that fashions worlds and orchestrates the dance of stars. This power expresses itself through your feeling. What I am revealing to you now has been hidden in plain sight throughout the ages, veiled in symbolism and metaphor to protect it from those who would misuse it or dismiss it. The great masters and mystics all taught the same essential truth. Consciousness is the only reality, and your feeling state determines the form that reality takes in your experience. Consider the words attributed to Jesus. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you've received it, and it will be yours. This is not a promise of future fulfillment. It is instruction in the law of manifestation. Believe, feel with conviction that you have already received, and the thing itself must appear in your world. Or consider the Buddha's teaching that all that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. These are not poetic metaphors, they are precise descriptions of how reality operates. What appears to be solid and immutable in your world is actually fluid and responsive to your consciousness. The chair you sit on, the body you inhabit, the circumstances you face, all are consciousness made visible, all are feeling objectified. This understanding transcends religion, philosophy, and cultural boundaries. It is the perennial wisdom that has been taught by every genuine spiritual tradition, though often obscured by ritual and dogma. I am stripping away these veils to reveal the naked truth. You are a creative force expressing itself through the medium of feeling. The implications of this truth are staggering. If consciousness is the only reality and your world is consciousness objectified, then there is nothing you cannot be, do, or have. When you learn to generate and sustain the appropriate feeling state, the barriers that seem to stand between you and your desires, time, space, resources, other people's decisions, are actually projections of your own consciousness. They appear solid only because you have accepted them as such. Change your feeling about them, and they must change in response. This is not to suggest that you deny the temporary facts of your life. Denial is a form of resistance that actually reinforces what you're trying to overcome. Instead, you acknowledge what appears to be while simultaneously feeling the reality of what could be, until what could be becomes what is. The true mastery of manifestation comes not from occasionally practicing techniques, but from fundamentally shifting your relationship with reality. When you truly understand that your feeling creates your experience, you no longer view yourself as a powerless figure in a world of fixed conditions. You recognize yourself as the author of your experience, the dreamer of your dream. Most people live their entire lives at the mercy of circumstances, never realizing that they themselves are the source of those circumstances. They are like dreamers who suffer nightmares but never realize they could change the dream by becoming lucid within it. I am calling you to lucidity. I am inviting you to awaken to your creative power while still in the dream of physical reality. This awakening begins with a decision. The decision to test this law for yourself. Not with skepticism, which ensures failure, but with the open curiosity of a scientist, combined with the faith of a mystic. Apply what I have taught you to something specific in your life. Generate and sustain the feeling of its fulfillment, especially in those drowsy moments before sleep, and watch as the outer world rearranges itself to match your inner state. As you do this, you will discover that the law operates with perfect precision. Your successes will build your confidence, and your confidence will enhance your ability to sustain the feeling of your wish fulfilled, creating an upward spiral of creative manifestation. You will also discover that this practice transforms not just your circumstances, but your very self. As you consciously choose the states you occupy, you develop a new relationship with your own consciousness. You become increasingly aware of the connection between your inner state and your outer experience. You become more deliberate, more awake, more alive. This transformation is the true purpose of the law. Yes, you can use it to manifest specific desires, and you should, both to test the law and to improve your life. But the ultimate gift of this practice is the awakening of your divine creative capacity, your remembrance of who and what you truly are. You are not a helpless being, subject to fate or chance. You are not defined by your past or limited by your present circumstances. You are pure consciousness, temporarily focused in a physical form, endowed with the power to shape reality through the feeling states you occupy. When you feel the truth of this, not just intellectually understand it, but feel it in the very core of your being, you experience a freedom that few humans ever know. You are free from fear because you realize that nothing can come into your experience unless you invite it through your consciousness. You are free from regret because you understand that your past was created by states you occupied then, and your future will be created by states you choose now. This freedom is your birthright. It is the gift hidden within the seeming limitations of physical existence. So now I ask you, will you claim this gift? Will you test this law? Will you have the courage to feel the reality of your fulfilled desires, even when your senses deny their presence? The choice is before you, as it has always been, though perhaps never before with such clarity. You can continue to react to circumstances, allowing your feeling to be dictated by what appears to be all. You can become the conscious creator of your experience by deliberately choosing the feeling states you occupy. I tell you now, with absolute certainty, that the feeling of your wish fulfilled is the secret. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you feel more worthy, but now in this moment. For the truth is that there is no hierarchy of difficulty in manifestation. The same law that would bring you a cup of coffee would bring you a mansion. The process is identical. Only your belief in limitation creates the appearance of varying degrees of difficulty. As you go forward from this moment, remember that you need no one's permission to be, do, or have what you desire. You need only your own willingness to feel the reality of it before it is visible to your physical senses. Remember also that what you seek is seeking you. Your desire exists as a complete reality in consciousness, waiting only for you to align with it through feeling. You are already that which you wish to be. You already have that which you wish to possess. The words I am and it is are creative declarations that, when filled with feeling, reshape your reality according to their content. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, fill these magical words with the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Say to yourself, I am that which I wish to be, and feel the truth of this statement. Say, it is done, and feel the relief, the satisfaction, the gratitude that naturally accompanies the fulfillment of desire. Do this not as an affirmation or a technique, but as the natural expression of your newfound understanding. For in truth, you are not creating your desire, you are stepping into its reality that already exists. The bridge between your current experience and the experience you desire is not a physical bridge of time, effort, or circumstances. It is the metaphysical bridge of feeling, which can be crossed in an instant when you know how. I have taught you how to cross this bridge. I have given you the key to conscious creation. Now the choice is yours to use it or to set it aside, to test it or to doubt it, to transform your life or to continue as before. But know this. The law itself is indifferent to your choice. It continues to operate with perfect precision, manifesting in your experience whatever feeling state you predominantly occupy. You are always creating, always manifesting, always shaping your reality through feeling. The only question is whether you do so consciously or unconsciously, deliberately or by default. Choose consciously. Feel deliberately. Create intention. For the feeling is the secret, and the secret is now yours.